Good morning. Welcome to the Thursday morning devotion, encouragement, and prayer time from ministry. My name is Tom Lemler. I'm a staff member of the Deer Run Church of Christ in South Bend, Indiana, as well as the director of Impact. As we continue through the devotional journal, Serving God, Devotions for Active Worship, 13 weeks of daily, where each week is wrapped around a different aspect of how we serve God by serving others and what that serving others ought to look like. Some elements that should contain the attitudes and characteristics that we live by. This week we're looking at serving with excellence. Uh, so many times in life we do what we can to get by. And there are times where that kind of becomes a necessity of just getting by so that we can get to the next day. But when it comes to serving, I believe God's desire, because He says when we serve others, we serve Him, is that we do our very best. We serve with excellence. And today's specific topic in this week's focus on excellence is excellence with earnestness. God says in the book of Hebrews that without faith it's impossible to please Him, that we must believe that He is one who rewards those who earnestly seek Him. You may be familiar with that verse. It's a fairly common verse we like to cling to. We like to be reminded of a reward that God has in store for those who earnestly seek Him. But I wonder how many people realize the immediate context. The statement is made within the uh, Hebrews 11th chapter of Hebrews in this hall of faith. And it's made in the context of talking about a man, one of my personal favorite heroes of the Bible, a man named Enoch, who walked with God and one day was not because God took him. He simply continued walking with God, only it wasn't here on earth anymore. And it's fascinating that it's in that context that God says He rewards those that earnestly seek Him. There are a lot of people that seek God or seek some relationship with God. They seek some knowledge of God. They add it to their list of things that they want to accomplish, that they want to be involved in, that they want as a part of their credentials. But when you talk about people who earnestly seek God, the list shrinks rather rapidly. And I would say for most of us, there are times in our life where, if we were honest, we would have to say, I really wasn't earnestly seeking God. I wasn't avoiding Him. I wasn't rejecting Him. I just was comfortable getting by, comfortable doing my own thing. And yet, God's desire is that we would grow in this earnestness of seeking Him. Perhaps one of the difficulties is we are so adept as a people, as a culture, in not being earnest. We use initials and acronyms and cute, sort of not cute sayings to excuse our lack of earnestness. Oh, never mind, just kidding. I wasn't serious. You see, in the way we communicate with others, we have difficulty in letting our yes be yes and our no be no. As one that has a very difficult time emotionally, neurologically wired to uh, not respond honestly, uh, I can tell you that people often don't really want an honest answer. But they can also see through our dishonesty. And it's a very complex relationship. You see, one of the difficulties of serving people without earnestness is they can read right through us. They can tell we don't really care, that there's an ulterior motive, that we're trying to earn credits with them or earn credits with God or earn credits for whatever. And I believe that's part of the reason, at least, why God's desire is that we would seek Him in all earnestness, that we would learn the value of being genuine. And when we serve, it's that genuineness, that earnestness in our serving that begins to connect with people who need to know someone really cares. They need to know God really cares. So many times we say those things in such a way that, well, we may not even believe them. And those that are being served, that those that are struggling, those that are hurting, if we're not earnest, if we're not serious about our relationship with God, they'll know. I believe it's one of the reasons that the Bible teaches us, that God instructs us to weep with those who weep, to mourn with those who mourn, to rejoice with those who rejoice. It's not a one-sided compassion. The very definition of compassion is to suffer with, to be with in someone's suffering. But God also desires that we be with those who are rejoicing. And the rejoicing with those who rejoice, for some, is a lot easier. For others, it brings about an incredible uh, temptation of envy and jealousy. But to suffer with those who suffer, to mourn with those who mourn, we tend to have enough sorrow of our own. Why would I take on that of someone else? And I believe that's where God comes in and requires that complete earnestness and begins to ask us individually through His Spirit, through His Word, do you really care? Do you really care about that person as much as I do? You see, serving with earnestness says I begin to see that person from God's eyes, from His perspective. I see them as His child, as one He has created in His image. You see, in order for people to see God, to see Christ in us, this excellence in earnestness requires that our pursuit of Christ is not fake in any way. That is not a show. It's not put on. It's not something we wear when it's convenient or appropriate and we take off when it's inconvenient. I've said before, one of the greatest accusations against Christianity, against Christians specifically, is that it's hypocrites. They see through our lack of earnestness. And granted, sometimes that label gets put on us in a way that isn't fair, it isn't right. But sometimes there may be merit to what's being said. You see, it's in earnestly seeking God that we begin to earnestly care for people. It's when we pursue that walk with God that creates a seamless transition between walking with Him in this life and walking with Him beyond this life. That we live with a consistency that others can see. It's a walk in earnestness that doesn't change based on who we're with or where we're at. People are watching, and especially in this era of social media, people are watching that you may not even know. They're following your social media accounts. They're gazing upon your life from how you interact with others. And do they see an earnestness in seeking God? An earnestness in caring for people? Or is it a show from their perspective? As we spend time praying today, I would encourage you to ask God to help you have an honest look at how earnestly you seek Him. To have an honest look at how earnestly you serve others because you're seeking Him, because you're representing Him. And pray that you would live with a greater practice of letting your yes be yes and your no be no. Would you spend some time today praying with me? Father, thank you that you're a God that loves us. Your love has given us Jesus in such a way that we can look upon Him. We can see His examples. We can see how He earnestly sought you as He lived life on earth, how He would withdraw from the busyness of life when necessary so that He could pray, He could talk with you, He could be in fellowship throughout His life. Father, as we seek to honor you, as we seek to live for you, may we seek you in all earnestness. May it not just be a game that we play or something that is convenient at times and inconvenient at others and that kind of comes and goes. May it be a reality. Every moment that we live, may our life be lived in a way that our walk with you is uninterrupted. Father, as we look at that, living life in that way in the context of serving, may people see us as real, as earnestly caring about them because you care about them. May they see Jesus represented in the way we serve, the way we love, the way we show mercy and kindness. Oh, fathers, I pray for our children. I pray that they would know that living for you is not a game, that it's not something that's done when it's in a certain place or time And then life goes on in their own way outside of those parameters. May we help our children to recognize how you desire to reward them as they earnestly seek you. May we be the examples of being true to our word. May our actions follow the things that your word says. May we be careful in how we represent Jesus. May we help our children to live lives that are genuine, that are the same, no matter where they are. May we live in such a way that the children around us would know that they're cared for, that our earnestness in serving people would include the children in our homes, our schools, our communities, in our churches. That we would not do things in a way that would give the impression that they're a burden or a bother or in the way. But we would see them also as those that are your children, those created in your image. And when we do our job in training and raising up and mentoring and discipling and teaching, all in ways that value them, so that they can turn around and be that way with their peers, with others that they are called upon to serve. Oh, Father, today as we look at your word and we spend time with you, forgive us for those times where we've not been earnest in seeking you. We've not been earnest in serving. For those times where we've evaluated the recognition that could be earned, or some other aspect of reward that we think we need, instead of looking at the person and caring about their need. Oh, Father, as we serve, may our service be done out of a genuineness of love. And may we learn that by examining and gazing upon the genuineness of your love for us. Oh, Father, today as I pray, may I earnestly seek you. May that earnestness in seeking you lead me to an earnestness of serving. God, may everyone hearing this devotion today may we be determined to set aside the disclaimers that we use to excuse our lack of earnestness. And as we set those aside and as we seek to serve in all earnestness, may we do so in a way that lifts up Jesus, so that many would be drawn to him. It's in his name that I pray. Amen. This has been the Thursday morning devotion, encouragement, and prayer time from Impact Prayer Ministry. Thank you so much for joining me. I do pray that your day is greatly blessed by God, so that you can be a blessing to others. Have a great day.